motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. What I considered a pleasant surprise. It would appear that two-weight world champion Dina Thorsland is set to return to action early next year on the 31st next month, opposite the ring hard-punching Brazilian Lila Furtado at what is the Sydbank Arena in Kolding, Denmark. Dina Thorsland's neck of the woods in what will be her first fight in a long time. 32 years old to Lila Furtado, who is 34. Both fighters are orthodox fighters. Lila is about an inch taller, little longer, which is negligible. It's not that big a difference. Scheduled for 10 rounds in the women's featherweight division, 2 divisions north of where Dina Thorsland normally campaigns. She normally campaigns at 118, whereas this fight is at 126. Dina sports an unblemished record of 23 wins with no losses and no draws, 9 knockouts. To Lila Furtado, who sports a professional record of 11 wins with 3 losses and no draws, 2 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 14 professional bouts. Important particulars in association with the match is that even though Dina Thorsland was recently signed by MVP, this is not an MVP show. The registered promoter for the show is Denmark-based Primetime Boxing. And I don't think that's a good look. That MVP went as far as signing Dina Thorsland, but they failed to get her out, even though they have 2 upcoming shows. Jake Paul's next fight this month, Amanda Serrano's next fight next month. Couldn't they have got Dina Thorsland a slot on one of those shows that it seems like she's been left to fend for herself? It's really not a good look. Though it helps that Dina Thorsland has already headlined a good number of shows in her neck of the woods, and if MVP can't get her out, she'll find another way. It would seem she has. And so she's facing Lila Furtado, who's coming right off the loss to Ramla Ali in July of this year. And I'll tell you that Lila Furtado is a live one, that as far as contenders go, this is a particularly aggressive customer. Dina and her team could have chose an easier comeback fight, an easier comeback opponent, Dina having not fought since October of last year. The night of, she will have sat out all of this one, and it will have been over a year's time since Dina last saw action. They could have picked somebody easier. I'm surprised that they didn't. Tack on the time off and tack on that this is a featherweight contest. This fight is going down at 126, 2 divisions north of where Dina campaigns. Lila Furtado has a lot more experience at that weight than Dina does. Decorated fighter that Dina is. Between the ring rust and fighting 2 divisions north of where she normally fights, there are some concerns. Lila Furtado is a tough customer. A rough and tumble, physical fighter who's not big on form, but is quite big on ferocity. Big enough that she put Raven Chapman on her back foot, Karis Artingstall on her back foot, arguably beat Ramla Ali, if not for Ramla getting lucky. So now she's fighting Dina, and Dina does have experience with aggressive fighters like Lila Furtado. What's concerning is where they're fighting, that it's at 126, that Lila is a bigger girl than the kind of girls Dina normally fights. In tandem with the time off, that Dina Thorsland will be shaking off ring rust the night of. The fight will be shown on DAZN at the end of next month, so we'll be able to take it in. I'm going to assume Dina is gradually making her way back down to 118 to challenge Shernika Johnson for all the alphabet titles. Dina still is Ring Magazine and Lineal Bantamweight champion. Up until recently, she held 2 of the 4 major titles at this weight. But when she found out that she was with child, she surrendered those titles to Sharita Metcalf and Shernika Johnson so that they could fight for them, so that they could fight for undisputed, and so that she doesn't hold the division up. But unfortunately, she miscarried. She lost the baby. She's already expressed an interest in challenging Shernika Johnson for what she's got. She wants to win her 2 alphabet titles back, so I can only deduce that this fight with Lila Furtado is a segue to a Shernika Johnson fight, that what Dina's doing is gradually making her way back down to 118. All we can do now is wait and see how she looks late next month when she returns in her native Denmark. Talk more about it as the fight date approaches. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, veteran manager Rick Mirigian, who handles the career of Virgil Ortiz, posted this screenshot to his Instagram page. A tweet from veteran boxing scribe Dan Rafael, who said, "Not gonna happen per source. DAZN, which has dibs on Virgil Ortiz's fights, will not allow that fight to happen."
What fight?
The Errol Spence Jr. fight. DAZN is exerting intense pressure on Goldenboy Promotions to get the Ennis fight done.
That tweet's from a few weeks ago. We talked about it, but apparently Rick Mirigian recently posted it to his page with a lengthy caption that reads, "Dear DAZN boxing executive, on what planet do you think saying these kinds of things about my fighter were okay, and doing it in public to a very credible reporter, aside from this being maybe the most ignorant thing to do while negotiating the biggest fight in the sport, it's also meritless."
What biggest fight in the sport? Ortiz and Boots? That's not the biggest fight in the sport. You're just saying that so you can keep asking for astronomical money.
Rick Mirigian continued, "False, and you don't own my fighter. Now you may get away with these tactics with the rest of the guys that have brain-dead managers, drunk dads, no options, or people scared to your intimidation, but trust me when I say you should read our contract before you say another single word or should be fired for these comments. I understand you actually said you will force our promoter and apply intense pressure on them to do what you said, but guess what? You can't force us to do anything. If I need to stick up for them also, then I guess I will, since no one else is. And they have enough pressure like us daily. We have a contract. It's ironclad. And let's see how far you get now talking like you're a slave owner. And these fighters are objects on a board, and you are moving around at your own will. These are human beings. They bleed in that ring and die in it. Chew on that the next time you think you can talk like this and get away with it. I assure you, that won't block us from fighting. You won't force us to fight anyone, and you won't tell us what platform we can fight on. I never make things public, or have in 15 years, but if you're gonna make things public, then let's have some fun. You won't want to see what gets said with receipts. We can fight behind closed doors like men and try to get our deal done, or we can fight it out in the world to see, as you won't like, that as you will have a lot of explaining to do for people that will be expected to pay an extra $480 a year in a few weeks, and none of what you said will take place. And for the record, this fighter has fought everyone put in front of him. This fighter has never failed a drug test or embarrassed the network. This fighter don't drink, smoke, or party, or beat women. This fighter is possibly, without question, going to be the face of the sport, and you're going to fumble it all. He earned his position, and you will respect it.
So let's just cut through the bullshit. Sounds like Rick Mirigian doesn't like that DAZN is urging his fighter to do the Boots fight, though perhaps not at the price that Rick Mirigian set. Lest we forget, Rick Mirigian is expecting somebody to kick out $10 million to Virgil Ortiz, and that is simply not a realistic number.
Now, maybe when Turkey El Al-Sheikh was involved and he was the one putting the fight together, maybe that's what the numbers look like, but it doesn't look like Turkey is involved anymore, and you can't expect DAZN to kick out that kind of money to you, because you're simply not worth it.
Virgil is not a $10 million fighter. You don't do a Virgil Ortiz fight and generate $10 million at the gate or at the box office, but that's what they're asking for, and that's why I often identify the fighters and their managers as being the problem, driving the cost of everything up with their outrageous demands.
It's not based on the market. It's not based on what people are going to actually pay for a fight. It's based on their own greed, and that simply won't work. I don't side with Rick Mirigian here.
You fight on the DAZN platform, and so does Boots Ennis. Theoretically, that's supposed to make a fight between yous easy to make, and you guys are sandbagging it. You guys are dragging your feet. Never mind when Turkey was involved, because he's not involved now.
The platform that gives your promoter a budget wants you to fight Boots, and you're telling them what?
That you don't have to fight Boots, that you can fight on whatever platform you want.
Oh, really?
And that's the problem with these managers and these fighters. That's the way they want things to work, to where they get whatever money they ask for, they can do whatever the fuck they want, but the actual people paying to keep the lights on, they don't have a say in the matter.
Goldenboy Promotions does a show for a Virgil Ortiz. Where do you think they get the money to do it? They get it from DAZN. And you're telling DAZN what? To go fuck themselves? You're telling them that even though they're the ones that pay to make everything happen, they don't have a say in the matter. No, it's just you guys. Because Virgil doesn't drink and because Virgil doesn't smoke, that's for his own benefit, not ours. He's not a soldier. He's not a municipal servant. I'm sick of hearing fighters complaining about the sacrifices they make.
They talk about this profession like somebody forced them into it, like it's not a choice that they made, that they're still making. This is your job. This is what you chose to do. You're not sacrificing anything for us. You're doing it for your own bank account. So put the fucking violins away.
Can of Sally Stravazak.
You hear Rick Mirigian say things like, well, this is the biggest fight in the sport.
No, the fuck it's not.
Now, I can think of at least 5 other fights that are much bigger commercially than this one would be. It's not the biggest fight in the sport. You claim that Virgil is going to be the face of boxing?
The fuck is that based on? Because it can't be the gate receipts.
And he only says these things to hype up his fighter to thereby justify their inflated purse demands. You are overselling him.
You have to.
Because you can't ask for what you're asking for and simultaneously be realistic about who he is. The thing about these fucking American boxers and their managers, they never want to be realistic about who they are or realistic about the money. You're wagging your finger in DAZN's face and telling them that they ain't got no say-so, but they're the ones where the money comes from.
I'll tell you what, princess. Don't fight. Don't fight Boots. Don't fight shit.
Don't do nothing and see if the world of boxing comes to a screeching halt because little Virgil and Rick didn't want to fight.
God's sake, guy hasn't even fought for a fucking world title yet. But look at how entitled he is. Look at his manager. What I see is, you don't want the Boots fight. And you're angry that DAZN is pressuring you to have it at their price.
But then let your promoter put the money up. The money that you want. The money that you're asking for. Tell Oscar to put it up. Let Matchroom pay Boots. Let Goldenboy pay Virgil.
Goldenboy's not gonna pay Virgil $10 million because Goldenboy knows that's an astronomical number. So you're waiting on DAZN to give it to you? You're waiting on Eddie Hearn to give it to you?
So it would seem that Team Ortiz's relationship with DAZN is on the rocks, though not only them, Goldenboy Promotions as well. Preliminary rumors indicate Goldenboy Promotions and DAZN are likely to end their relationship by the summer of next year, with DAZN not showing an interest in a new deal per a source familiar with the situation. It is unknown where Goldenboy Promotions would go if they part ways. It's also worth mentioning, the relationship between Goldenboy Promotions and Turkey LL Sheik has thawed since Crawford versus Canelo. Turkey LL Sheik was unhappy with comments made about the fight.
Yeah, Oscar tried to poo-poo all over it.
In tandem with Oscar De La Hoya blocking Ryan Garcia from appearing on a Riyadh season card recently, the Saudi PIF owning a minor stake in DAZN is also worth a mention.
Now that last bit right there about Oscar De La Hoya guiding Ryan Garcia away from a Riyadh season card, that speaks to what I told you guys weeks ago. Remember when I told you that Oscar's going to guide his fighters away from Turkey shows? He's not going to give Turkey access to Ryan, to Zerto.
Forget about the Jayo Pataya fight. That shit ain't going to happen.
Virgil Ortiz versus Boots Ennis? You can fucking forget it.
Because what I believe Goldenboy Promotions is doing is protecting what remaining assets they have. And for them, it's really not a lot. Goldenboy Promotions, in a very general sense, doesn't have the deepest of stables or bodies to spare to then sacrifice at the altar of Turkey LL Sheik's shows.
Trying to protect what little they have.
This story rings true. And Goldenboy Promotions is about to make their exit from the DAZN platform. They would be doing so at a very inopportune time, because you leave DAZN to go where? To partner up with who? It's not like the American broadcasters are climbing over each other to get into boxing. They're not. You don't leave DAZN, get out there in the open market, and some network throws a bunch of money at you. They haven't thrown a bunch of money at the PBC. We've yet to see who Top Rank is going to come back with, if they even come back.
And you want to roll the dice out there in the open market when American broadcasters are pulling away from boxing?
You know, DAZN as a platform is providing you with the stability that the PBC doesn't have right now. That Top Rank doesn't even have right now, and what you want to do is ruffle their feathers, the smartest thing you can do at this point while the deal is still active is play ball and give them what they want so that maybe they'll give you a renewed contract.
A new deal.
Because what you're showing them right now is you ain't worth a goddamn thing. You can't seem to get your ducks in order. Whether it's Ryan Garcia, or getting Virgil to fight Boots, or getting Zerto to fight Jayo Pataya, you can't seem to make anything happen. So why should they keep kicking out money to you?
What's the fucking point?
It's not at all a good idea for Goldenboy Promotions at this very unstable time in the American boxing scene to be playing on the knife's edge. At the same time for DAZN, you just rolled out what's supposed to be your ultimate tier that's going to be costing existing subscribers even more money. Even more money, and for what? Less shows? Because if Goldenboy Promotions leaves, that's less shows all around.
Less value for money.
So if these rumors are true and Goldenboy Promotions' relationship with DAZN is on the rocks,
It's not good for anybody. It's not good for Goldenboy. It's not good for DAZN as a platform. It's not good for me and you, the consumers. It's not good for anybody. The most ideal scenario is Goldenboy and DAZN settling their differences and continuing to do business with each other, because the number of broadcasters interested in showing boxing is dwindling. Goldenboy doesn't leave DAZN and then jump into some new deal with some new broadcaster. The networks aren't kicking out the money for boxing that they used to. DAZN is one of the few that still is, providing you with all the stability and scheduling that the PBC doesn't have, that even Top Rank doesn't have right now.
in protecting what remaining assets you have, don't burn a bridge you may need to cross.
Don't burn that bridge over Ryan, because he ain't gonna be with you forever. Don't burn that bridge over Virgil.
What's more valuable to you? Virgil Ortiz, or the network that pays you? The network that gives you a budget, that gives your banner a home?
What's more valuable? What's harder to replace?
Still a lot of time remaining in between now and this doomsday scenario that's supposed to reach its deadline in the summer of next year. Enough time there that Goldenboy still has time to maybe smooth things over with DAZN, make nice, make it right, and play ball. Show that you're a team player so that you can stay on the team.
Because there would be far too much uncertainty moving forward without DAZN behind you. You leave DAZN to go where?